So death.
Yeah, because people were very keen on the expendable nature of the agents.
I don't want my agent to live forever. I want him to die.
Well, this is because we've kind of said you've got these. We're kind of almost portraying it as a storyline carrying on of these characters throughout the game.
Yes.
And so that kind of gave the impression that if a character died, they're dead for the rest of the game or whatever, or they can't die.
Or you'd have to reload and go back to the area that you wanted.
Yeah. So
mission failed. To restart screen.
We're setting this in a world where there's technology there to just implant brain from one person into another from a.
Well, their consciousness. You wouldn't physically move their brain.
DNA and their traits and stuff.
Battlestar Galactica is a good analogy.
Yeah.
Where the way the Cylons, upon death, instantly just wake up in a vat of goo.
And make that noise when they do it.
Some of them do.
So we're kind of weaving that into the story too, so that the big CEO, he's made up this technology. So that's why he's risen to power in his corporations. Running everything, and all the people who are living in the top parts of society, they're effectively kind of immortal, because every time their body dies, they can clone that body or get a new body or whatever, but they can take their consciousness out and then shove it into a new.
And that's what the satellite network is.
Yes.
Kind of there for. That's how it happens instantaneously. I guess everyone sort of might be
hooked into
always connected to it, always on connection.
Yeah, and so the organisation your agents are working for, this mysterious organisation, have somehow gained control of this, and they've got your 4 agents now have the ability to, when the body that dies out in the field,
tap into it.
when they can tap into it, and the consciousness of that agent gets pulled out and then shoved into a new body. Yeah. So you've got
sort of what makes your little startup organisation formidable, isn't that?
Everybody else is sending out soldiers and they're dying and they can't do anything, but your guys are able to go back and keep fighting and get better and better as they go along.
The difference between obviously the corporation, they have all these real resources and funds to do this, and you're much more limited in that. So like you'll actually be able to go into the general populace and harvest from them to do this stuff as well. So so instead of just vats of made up genetic sort of super soldiers that they just go through and go, oh, B917 now gets fed into this thing. You're actually going in and going, oh, there's Mike over there. Oh, I'm going to take him
his
and
body.
He has plus 12 to boldness.
It's always a useful stat.
But that grew over time.
But so you'll be able to capture people from civilians and as you play through the corporate soldiers or scientists or whoever you wanted to capture, and take them back, and you set them up in your base, I guess, and each of those characters will have slightly varying stats. So the normal civilians will have maybe a little bit of a boost to maybe their stamina or their firing ability or damage or something like that, but it'll only be a little bit. And your scientists, if you take them back, you could either use them as scientists to help research stuff, or maybe you just want to shove them into a vat and clone them and use them as your soldiers, and they'll have maybe a bigger boost for your tech skills or something like that.
Yep. Effectively traits that everyone can sort of balance against the classes that we have and go, oh, this one's actually got a really cool trait for this guy that I've got over here, and I'm going to put it on him.
Yeah. So maybe like for example the scientist, you take him and he's got an extra 10% boost on all your technical skills. So, and you're customizing your hacker to be really going down the hacking path. So you've upgraded those skills all the way. You make him the guy that you're cloning for your hacker agent. So you're getting an extra boost on top of that.
Yeah. I like the idea of you can actually spend time just with your hacker out on the street, just searching for people who are.
You spend.
Here's a really exceptional dexterity or speed. But this ties into the whole the resistor level where you can put your own NPC into the game.
With your name and.
So you can actually go out into the city, find yourself, take yourself back to the cloning machine, and then you're one of the agents in the game. And so we'll have to. The only downside is if your stats are just horrendous.
And on the other hand, you could find your friend in the world and just have them die grisly deaths over and over again.
Let's recap the death of an agent then.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you die on the field. Your all your memories, your consciousness has been uploaded, so that can go back into a new clone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which could be anyone. It could be a male or female.
Yeah.
It could be
Yeah.
anything. Just,
Yeah. So and we have this concept of there's a deterioration of the stats with each recloning. So that
So that each of
there's a slight penalty there.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're making a copy of a copy of a copy.
Genetic degradation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So effectively, when you're cloning, each time you clone one of the civilians or agents or soldiers or whoever you're using to clone for your
Like
bodies.
each time you die, you mean? Like you
Yeah.
create a new clone.
Yeah, each time your agent dies out in the field and you need to clone a new body, it degrades the stats that you've got in it back down to. Eventually, it'll level out to 0, so you just effectively get no bonus, and then you might want to. Like if you're getting civilians, you might only have 2 or 3%, and each time you clone it, you'll lose maybe 1% bonus. And then once you've got down to 0, then obviously that becomes a stock standard meat sack, and you can keep using it and stay at 0 bonus. But
Yeah, you don't
go out and find
you don't.
another.
It's not that you get, I guess, punished so much for dying over and over.
No.
It's just that you don't get the bonuses
Yeah.
that
So,
you
but
have otherwise.
You might
all
wanna
you,
go
all
out
you
and
need to do
harvest
then
more
is
to
just
get
go
more
out and
bonuses.
find. Yeah, you need to go out and find more bodies.
Yeah. Not that we're going to
Sounds
have
creepy
to.
when
Not that
you
we're
say
going to
it.
have to stop people from doing that because I think people are going to want to
Maybe
do
we're
it.
going to be capping as many bodies as they can.
Yeah.
But
I'm assuming your stats are going up throughout the game anyway. Just
Yeah, but
but this is so there's the two things. Is the one's
Base
the
stat.
one's the bonus thing you get from whatever meat, whatever meat you've taken off the streets, whether it be a civilian or a corporation or whatever. So that'll give you
that's
like
their sort of innate genetic.
yeah. So
Yeah.
their
Skills and
their
talents.
genetic traits will give you some sort of little bonus, and then you've got your character traits that you've built up throughout the game. So that stuff doesn't degrade. It's just the civilians that, or soldiers or whatever. That stuff will slightly degrade until that gets back to 0.
You
and
find
then, and then
Your
that
bonus.
meat,
bonus
that
Yeah.
meat guy that you've got, he becomes useless. You want to throw him away, and you go out and get another guy to replace him. Get another
Right.
good guy.
and
Yeah,
you might find someone of equal or better.
Yeah, so if you
Best stats
find
when you
if
do
you go
that.
out and you find someone who has got a much better, much better base level stats for creating clones, and you take him and go, well, screw that other guy, he's useless. We'll throw him out, and we've got this guy, and he's awesome. Now, if you do that, you might just send your guy out and go, all right, I want to use this new clone now, so I'm just going to send my guy out, get him killed, so that you can
Go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, go, just run into the middle of, run in front of a mech, punch it.
There's nothing to stop us from going and getting going out, and you just go on a harvest run and you go, I want to find some
Yeah.
good guys. Yeah, I want to get all those guys, and then just physically going back to your HQ, jacking in and getting
Yeah.
it all effectively turn this one off, turn that one on.
Yeah.
Now
Well, you can
I'm
do it. That's a
upgraded.
little bit boring. I prefer to go up and punch a mech, but.
We can have them scream in the chair like that.
I mean, I suppose you'd lose your weapons and stuff if you did that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
maybe it would be better to just go back and save all the money.
We can make
but
it
punching
painful.
a mech. That's kind of hard.
And the thing,
Yeah,
and the
punch.
thing also is that when we say your clone's degrading each time, it's not going to get to the point where that clone is actually just your characters are no longer any good.
No,
it's just
it's
that it's
just
just those
the little-
bonuses
Yeah.
that degrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll get a little bonus out of whatever
Yeah.
person you've hijacked.
That little
But
buff.
yeah, that little buff will.
Yeah,
will
worst
disintegrate
case,
down.
you'll just be back to your base stats.
Or
Like,
you
you're
could
not-
do what I'm planning on doing and just not die.
Yeah,
so,
you can do that. Just
Just do that.
Good luck with that.
yeah.
How'd you go with XCOM, by the way?
I may have lost 1 or 2 people, or a few more, or everybody.
You've also got the other side, which is all the augmentations. So they're kind of left in the body, so you're able to go and pick up whatever remains there that survived whatever epic battle just happened.
Yeah.
And you might be able to reuse some percentage of that to re-augment this new
Yeah,
clone.
or to salvage it to get some cash back or something like that.
Or we have the other idea too of having insurance things set up for your agents, so that
Yeah.
you fill them up with all these augmentations and gear and stuff, and rather than having to repay for all of that stuff every time you lose an agent on the field, you can pay a small amount for insurance, so that when your guy does die, your insurance company will pay for all that stuff for you. So you get 90% off the re-equipping your guy with everything that he had previously. And then the cool thing about that would be that if every time your character dies, your premium may go up and up and up, and then you might need to you'll get to a point where it's just ridiculously expensive, so you need to go off and maybe find the insurance company somewhere in the world and hack into their system and wipe your slate clean, so that you've got a zero rating on the insurance company.
I want to see that insurance claim form.
Yeah. You'll have to fill out a claim.
There will be. Yeah.
This is an accurate city simulation.
In triplicate.
Complete simulation. It's
That's
going to be a 45-minute, mini game.
You have to
where
wait
you're
in
gonna
line as
fill out-
well to hand it in.
It's more like the fact that you've been killed in some epic gun battle, like for the 7th time.
Really? Again?
Do you smoke?
Okay, so we need to sort out this issue of the class system.
Clarify, because we haven't
Clarify, yes.
really made a good job of explaining it. So I think the term class in itself is probably a little misleading as well, because that sounds quite rigid. It sounds like, I can only be a fighter, sort of thing, and that's it. All I can do is combat. Whereas the way we were sort of talking about before is like it's a specialty of that class. It's like I lean towards a certain aspect of gameplay, but I'm not confined to that aspect of gameplay.
Yeah.
So, the hacker, obviously, they're a hacker, they've got the ability, they've got traits that sort of push them towards being specialised in technical manipulation and controlling the environment via hacking into systems and stuff like that. But it doesn't limit them to a non-combat oriented.
No, it is just the base starting kind of level. So that you start off and you've got your soldier, and he's already heading towards that the combat side of things, and the support guys, slightly down from that, and the hacker and assassin, they're all, it's just the base of where they're starting from, but it's not.
There are different parts
an
of the
assassin,
scale.
so you can only go off and do this way, and you're a soldier, so you can only go off and do this way. They start at that, and then you customize and gear up your guys to be whichever way you want them to go.
Through skills, through augmentations, through weapons. I mean, through what traits that you grab on the populace that you go back and put into your clone when you're putting them together. I mean, it's actually going to be quite varied. I mean, I think the whole thing we want is just having this really open-ended system where, this guy is geared towards this as a base, but we're going to allow you to play with it. So what happens when you make a soldier guy actually way more defensive? Like what sort of systems will we come up with that? Well, what happens when you make a hacker a really aggressive combat-driven hacker? So when he's just surrounded by drones with
miniguns attached to their drones and stuff.
That's cool. It's like
so instead of 4 miniguns, you've got 6 or 7. There's 3 drones hanging around behind this guy with miniguns. And
we don't want people to get hung up on the fact that they've got different names. The agents have different names and they look different. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have 4 people who can hack the shit out of any system in the game and get into any facility, or could just blow the doors off any facility, or anything in between.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Like the A-team, like if you want your heavy hitter, you put the Baracus up the front. If you need something flown or fixed, you get Murdoch in there to do it. But they can all stand their own when the shit hits the fan and they're turning a forklift into a helicopter. They all put 2 and 2 together and get it done.
Helicopter forklift.
Yes.
Make that happen.
Alright, that's drone number 2.
That sounds like drone number 2 and drone number 3.
Combined
together.
Yeah, so you'll start off with each of you guys will have the class system or specialties. We should probably start calling it instead of classes.
It's not that classes is wrong. I guess it's just people have a
implies.
preconceived idea of what a class means. Like
It implies like I am only this sort of structure. Like if we say the class is a soldier, then I must just be this really aggressive combat only guy. It's like no, the soldier has a very sort of amount of different things he can do.
All of them do.
Yeah, all of them do, but it's just for him specifically. It's just based slightly more towards.
He has a natural
combat.
proficiency in a certain field.
And
there are unique abilities amongst them that only certain ones can do.
Yeah, so
But
that's where it
there's a
effectively
bit of
starts
crossover
off.
with a lot of those things as well.
Yeah. So it's not just you've got a class and then you can kind of customize to go slightly differently. It's like you start with the specialization, and we have a few skills that we know that the player's going to have, so we can tailor the world to incorporate some of those things.
Yeah.
And then from that you go off in either direction. So the hacker has his hacking abilities, and the same thing with the soldier will straight away be able to handle big weapons and stuff like that. But if you wanted to, as you upgraded and and customized your guys, you could take the hacker or the assassin and move them over towards the combat side of things. So you can end up with all 4 guys running around with massive miniguns and stuff.
And you're gonna be able to do
blowing stuff
that.
up.
There's all sorts of variety of ways you can do that as well. Like it'll be through customizing skills to give the hacker more drones or whatever that have miniguns on them, or it could be through augmentations that allow them to move faster or carry bigger weapons or all that sort of thing. It's all
Shielding system, so a hacker who's maybe a bit more squishy can be heavily shielded, but
still be able to take on people by himself or grouped with everyone else.
Actually, it's probably a good example of the augmentations, because for a minigun, for example, the soldier will be able to pick one up straight away and use it, whereas if you try and give it to a sniper, he'll need to be augmented up to the ability to move around as fast as the soldier would be, but he can still carry around, be a bit slower and not as accurate.
Yeah, you can imagine at the start he's going to be trailing along behind him.
This dragging this massive gun.
Wait for me!
Come on, guys!
It'll be
Then he
like,
shoots and it's just all over the place.
it'll be like TF2 where the medic has to keep stopping and waiting for the heavy to catch up.
You imagine him shooting and the recoil's actually caving in his chest.
Yeah, maybe one of the hacker's ability is to get a gun and hack the gun, and that they can make that gun more powerful.
I really like the idea of him having, the plasma or the some sort of laser cannon type gun, and then if you give him some sort of upgrade that he can charge that supercharged, overclock his gun so that he can fire it at twice the power that any of the other guys can.
It gives us a lot more options than just a blank slate. You're all just soldiers of one type of class. It's like we get this real colourful sort of switch between classes that allow us to sort of play up different things in the game. And well, another thing to take to sort of point out as well is that a game like Syndicate was actually, it had quite a how do I say it? It's not as complex as the systems that we were sort of we're implying. So to put a simplistic system like you're just for guys who are tanks in our game probably wouldn't necessarily work as well as the way that we're trying to do it, where we have this layered, more complex system. It will have all of the same benefits from that I think people got from that. I think to backtrack a bit, I think one of the things that people, and I know I liked about, say, playing games like Syndicate, and is not so much that I had 4 agents, is that I got the feeling that I could take this, upgrade this powerful entity, and get the feeling of being this almighty destructible force. We will still have that feeling. You will still be able to get that buzz of going around and having carnage. It's just it's not going to be handled necessarily in exactly the same way. But the end result will be
you still get the same feeling from
it.
You
Exactly.
still get the same experience.
And that's really what the gameplay is.
Annoying the crap out of people.
It's not the specifics. I mean, the gameplay when you play games is like, how did I feel? What do I remember about that? What was the buzz that I got? And as long as we can capture that feeling and we don't limit, I feel weaker, or I don't really feel like I can take on the man as well. Like, I think we'll be able to do that. So.
Yeah.
We thought the best way of describing the death system to you would be to show you, so we've enlisted the help of Bob. So Bob's a hacker, and with his hacking ability he's able to convince and lure civilians back to the corporate headquarters, where they'll be used as empty vessels for future agents. Later on, Bob and another agent come along a group of corporate soldiers, and a fierce battle ensues. Unfortunately, Bob didn't survive the encounter, but thankfully, due to our cloning techniques, we're able to revive him, or at least part of him. And here's our new agent, resurrected from the body of the civilian we captured earlier. She'll have all of the skills and talents you had from upgrading throughout the course of the game. However, what she won't have is any of the augmentations, weapons, or equipment you may have picked up along the way. They'll have to be repurchased or recaptured. And there you go, I hope that explains how the death system works in Satellite Rain.